He was born on July 24, 1860 in Ivančice, the son of a court servant. He studied at the gymnasium in Brno, and then he worked as an assistant clerk at the district court in Ivančice. For a short time, he worked in the theater decoration workshops of the Kotzky Briosky Burkhardt Company in Vienna. After returning to Moravia, he also worked for Count Kuhn Balassi, who allowed him to continue his studies at the academies in Munich and Paris. Here he worked primarily as an illustrator. In 1894, with the Gizmonde poster, he began a several-year artistic collaboration with the actress Sarah Bernhardt, for whom he created not only posters, but also stage designs, costume designs, and jewelry. And from 1904 onwards, he traveled more frequently to the USA, where he gave drawing courses. In 1906, he married his former student, Marie Kytelova. While in the USA, he tried to obtain the resources needed to create the Slav epic. For this idea, he finally gets Charles R. Cran, a Chicago industrialist. In 1910, he returns to his homeland. He rents premises and an apartment at the Zabiro Castle in western Bohemia, and he starts working on the Slav epic there. In the meantime, he carries out, for example, the decoration of the mayor's lounge in the municipal house in Prague, and company study trips, for example, to Poland and Russia. At the end of 1912, he completes the first 3 paintings of the Slav epic. The entire work is ceremonially handed over to the Czech nation and Prague in 1928. Then he continues his work, and in 1931 he designs and paints the window of the new Archbishop's Chapel in the St. Vitus Cathedral in Hradzany. In 1939, he is arrested and interrogated by the Gestapo, and he dies on July 14, 1939. The Slav epic summarizes the history of Slavic nations from ancient times to the 20th century, while half of the cycle was devoted to the history of the Czech nation. We've followed Alphonse Mucha's footsteps from where his story began in Ivančice, through the quiet chapters in Mikulov, through the healing and the halos in Piešťany, and through the castle halls of Zabiro, where his greatest work was created. And now we're here in Moravský Krumlov, where the Slav epic lives. Because there's a river here, and the castle is over there, we have to walk kind of far down the street and then across the river to get to the castle. Originally, all the paintings were to have the same size. However, after the outbreak of World War I, there was a problem with the delivery of canvases, and therefore some of the paintings were painted by Alphonse Mucha the Younger. During World War II, paintings were hidden, and unfortunately they were also damaged. After the war, the paintings were transported to Moravský Krumlov. They were restored during the 1950s, and since 1963, they have been exhibited in the local gallery, not far from Mucha's birthplace. And we are told in about 5 years the paintings will be moved permanently to Prague, and that Alphonse Mucha always dreamed that they would be on display in Prague.
Praha, Bubeneč. K Tišině 4, 28.3.1950. Vážení pánové, právě se dovídám, že v nejbližších dnech bude slovanská epopej převezena k vám do Moravského Krumlova. A ráda bych vám řekla, jak jsem šťastná, že právě Morava to bude, která bude hostit dílo svého velkého syna, který nikdy ve světě obklopen slávou nezapomněl na svůj rodný kraj. Nikdy nepřijal nabídky čestného občanství v cizině. Věren své Moravě a kraji tak líbeznému v souvodí 3 řek, kde rostl a vyvíjel se duševně, v kraji, kde čeští bratři zanechali stopy svých velkých lidských ideálů. 24. července tohoto roku bude tomu 90 let, co se v Ivančicích narodil. A teď jeho dlouholetý sen, realizovaný mnohaletou prací, bude konečně sloužit k tomu, k čemu jej tvůrce určil, lidu. Vím, že moravský lid jej pochopí. Patřím po svém choti do Ivančic. A rodem Chytilová, ač naše rodina již skoro 200 let žila v Čechách, přeci jen také jsem Moravanka. Mějte proto moje díky za to, že Moravě bude vráceno, co z jejího velkého historického odkazu vyrostlo. Jedu tyto dny do Brna k ukončení výstavy v Umělecko-průmyslovém muzeu a ráda bych zajala do Krumlova. Snad již zatím budou obrazy na místě. Budu bydlet v hotelu Slavia a těšilo by mě, kdybych tam dostala od vás zprávu, kdybych mohla přijet. Pan Lehrer z osvětového odboru mi nabízel, abych jela po neděli s ním. To bych se ovšem musela vrátit do Prahy, kdyby se stěhování zpozdilo. Ráda bych viděla zámek Krumlovský a pohovořila s vámi o mnohém. Mám fotografické desky a jiný materiál, jehož by bylo třeba snad k propagačním účelům. Zatím prosím, abyste laskavě přijali přání všeho zdaru k tak krásné práci, níž vám nabízím svoji pomoc. Vám zcela oddaná Marie Muchová.
So I stood in front of the epic and I took it in, but I kept it to myself, not out of selfishness, but reverence. Because what Mucha left behind wasn't just paintings, it was a portal to see the past and a portal to get a glimpse of what the future could be, a portal of memory, a portal of myth, to a meaning bigger than any one of us. He spent decades pouring his soul into this work for a people, a future of freedom that he could only imagine. And maybe that's what art is for. Not just to be seen, but to remind us that belief itself can be a creative act. And maybe, just maybe, our own unfinished dreams are part of the same canvas. I don't know what my next adventure will be, but I know this. I learned a lot about the man, and I'll carry Mucha's light with me. Thank you for walking this trail with me. The journey doesn't end here. It only deepens. Now let's go home.